Number 6 is the first of the series of bundled amendments. So let's go back to the Constitution Revision Commission. Because the commission dealt with so many issues, 40 years ago when the first commission was formed, they did what's called bundling, meaning take one or two issues, put them together so you don't have 30 issues on the ballot. And they bundled things that were alike. 20 years ago when the commission met, they did the same thing. This year, the commission did the same thing. They bundled things, and the original premise was they should have had some type of connection. But as you see with some of these, they don't really have a connection sometimes. And the important thing about the bundled ones are that if you feel, however you vote on one, it counts for all three. So if you support one, you're supporting all three. If you're against one, you're against all three. So you have to read these carefully and weigh how bad you feel about an issue. Number 6 is the first of the bundling. The first part of number 6 is called Marsy's Law. It's a series of victims' rights that would go into the Constitution. Right now on statute and by practice, victims are a part of the process. State attorneys are supposed to call the victims, let them know when they're hearing. State attorneys are supposed to meet with victims and let them know about plea deals and see if they can participate in plea deals. State attorneys are supposed to do that. And there are certain timelines when cases have to go to trial, and there's timelines with appeals process. What number 6 would do, Marsy's Law, is put these victims' rights in the Constitution. Also in the Constitution, it would give deadlines for when trials has to happen and when people can appeal. For non-murder cases, it gives a 2-year limit on when someone can decide to appeal. For a murder conviction, it says a person has to appeal within 5 years. So that's Marsy's Law, series of victims' rights rules. The second part of number 6 is raising the judicial retirement age. Right now, judges have to retire at the age of 70. What this would do is increase the judicial retirement age to 75. The last part of number 6 would determine how judges interpret rule challenges in Tallahassee. If a department does a rule and you sue that department, well, right now the judge looks at that agency and makes sure they did the rule the right way. Number 6 says, no, judges, you just look straight to the Constitution and see if they had the authority to do that rule. So it's a little inside baseball with lawyers, but it's kind of significant. And those are the 3 parts of number 6. Marsy's Law, raising the judicial retirement age, and also how judges will rule on cases with administration.
This is a bundled amendment, and voters need to consider all parts of the amendment since they can't be voted on separately. This means that if you like one part of the amendment but don't like another, you might want to consider voting against it. Voting yes would expand the rights of victims and limit the rights of the accused. It would raise the retirement age of judges to 75. It would require that judges interpret state rules. Voting no would retain the existing rights of victims that are contained in the Constitution and the existing rights of accused. It would keep the retirement age of judges at 70. It would allow state agencies to interpret rules.
Regardless of the party, voice plus vote equals power. Take action, vote.